Welcome to the Big Cats Women's Program 30th Anniversary Podcast. We've made it. We're at episode 15 and this week's a special one. We're joined by the famous number 2, Cassandra Shelby. Better known as Cass, she's played a role for 20 years now in multiple teams across various divisions. We've seen her on the mound, in the batter's box, playing third and doing just a bit of everything, including taking on a coaching role over recent years. So join us as we catch up with Cass to talk all things Big Cats women's baseball and share in the memories and the moments that have made the program what it is today. Let's go. Good afternoon. We are back in the studio. It has been a little bit of time in between recordings, but we're here today with a very special guest, Cass Shelby. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Not sure I'm very special, but thank you.
You are. You've been a big part of our Big Cats family for a very long time, and we'll get to that in a minute. But you are episode 15, and we were just talking off air about how appropriate it would have been if you were episode 2.
Yes.
We couldn't get you on for episode 2, but here you are repping Shanna's at episode 15.
Big hello to Shanna's, who is actually in Japan at the moment. So
she is walking up mountains. We're very excited to have you in. I'm so glad that you could come into the studio and we could catch up because we want to hear about your story and about your time with the club that is still around. You've put up with a lot of us for a long time. It's still here and we love you. But before we start to talk about the memories, we have to go back to the start, which is what we do with every guest. How did you end up at the club? You came from Chelsea?
yes.
So you're at a different club. Talk to us about the start for you.
The start actually was a very pivotal part in my life. I was at Chelsea, as you said, and baseball was not fun anymore. I just kind of did it and went through the motions, but I really disliked it. So I was going to stop playing. I went on the Aussie Hearts tour in 2004 with a fair few of Springvale players, and I learnt that baseball is fun. I saw other people having fun, and it reminded me baseball is meant to be fun. The year after, before the season started, and I reckon it was 1 or 2 weeks before the season started, I was overseas. I flew back into Australia. I rang Chevy and I said, I'm thinking of moving. What do you think? And she said, I'll send you a form or something. And that was it. So it was very last minute. But if I hadn't have gone on the Aussie Hearts tour, I probably wouldn't have played baseball anymore. If I didn't come to Springy, if I didn't meet most of you, I wouldn't be still playing. And that's like 20 years later. So that's what I mean when I say a pivotal part in my life. Yeah, I loved it ever since. So glad to be Springy's number 2. So
awesome. There's a picture on the screen that just really, if you had to say, give me a picture that expresses Cass and who Cass is, I think that's a pretty good one.
It's a pretty good one, and it shows the old jersey as well.
Yeah, the OG.
Yeah.
It's got the old logo on the
I know.
top,
It's got the faded band things.
Yeah. So 2005, 2006 season we figured out was your first season. So we just had our anniversary. This is 20 years, your 20th anniversary this season. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool and yeah, life-changing really. Like I said, I wouldn't be playing baseball. I'd be a very different person. I wouldn't have as many friends and outlets, and really the baseball family, I wouldn't have it. So
it's very cool, Cass. Our agenda to meet the needs of Chevy, who likes structure and likes organisation. So we're going to talk a little bit about the teams because you played in a lot of different teams over the years. The Springvale Berwick sort of experiment has come up a few times, and your perspective's a really good one and a really interesting one. I want to hear about that. We're going to talk about on and off the field because baseball's meant a lot to you playing the game, for sure, but the relationships off the field and the times you've spent with people off the field as well. We're going to delve into what it means and what in particular the last few months have meant for you being at the Masters tournament in Ballarat. And then you're going to do the quiz, the 30 in 5 quiz, where we give you 30 seconds. And this is a lie because no one takes 30 seconds. So I should have changed that to 17 minutes for 5 questions. But anyway, we move on. And we're gonna talk about the teams. I've gone through the archives. You are not one to like a photo.
Yes, true.
You are a little similar to me in the fact that the camera comes out, you disappear. Oh, got to go do something, or you just hide in the background. Look, there's a few teams I wanted to bring up, and I brought this photo up because I've brought this photo up in a couple of podcasts. But this is such a mixed bag of different humans, and great humans, by the way. But you've spent a lot of time over the years playing with different personalities. You spent quite a bit of time, obviously, playing with Esther, playing with Deb, playing with Dodsey, a bit of time with Ange. And Ange also came from Chelsea. You had that connection with her as well. And even in that photo is a very young-looking Hannah Jackson. Not saying you look any more than a day over 21 now, Jacko, but talk to me a little bit about what you see here and some of the familiar faces that you remember spending time with at Springy.
I think my proudest moment looking at this photo is I still talk to most of them. Obviously, there's one obvious one that I can't. That's my proudest moment looking at this photo. I love that sport brings together such a diverse range of people. And to be honest, I wouldn't meet such a diverse range of people anywhere else, even work. You can't say that. So I loved it. I loved the 30-year anniversary dinner because, I met Esther in person after, I'm gonna say 5 years or something. We've got some imports there.
Rossi, EJ Tobias, Beto, Janine.
Call out to Janine, always trying to look different and stand out with a red hat. We love you, Nini.
There you go. There's some interesting ones. And you've got Mick poking his head through the back there. You've spent quite a bit of time with Mick. Talk to me about your relationship with Mick over the years.
I don't even think Mick knows this, but he was my coach at a time when I was still young and learning how to be a human and an adult. And we must have done something really wrong, so I don't know what we did wrong. But he gave us a speech that has been with me ever since then about respect and what it is to be a respectful player. And he talked about not only just respecting people, respecting the club, respecting the fact that someone has to mark the lines. We need a ground to play on, and he listed all these things that we needed just to enable us to play. And I had never seen baseball that way. And I'm going to be honest, I never saw the world that way. So that is why Mick said that speech at a time in my life that has now influenced how I look at work, I spent a lot of time in hospital, which we'll talk about, how I looked and respected the hospital staff, not just the surgeons who get all the glory, but even the food staff and all that. So that speech has stayed with me forever and altered how I look at the world and how I treat everything now. And I never had that playing baseball before. Now I'm a coach. I hope I somehow can influence future players to also think that way. I'm a little bit unable to do some stuff around the club at the moment, but I loved to be able to mark the lines, look after the ground, do my canteen duty, all that stuff. The one thing I won't do is score because I think that's very difficult. So, yeah, but that, and when I was his pitcher, he never let me bat. I'm not sure why. Sorry, Mick. But as a result, I spent a lot of time in the dugout with Mick, and his baseball brain and the way he just says stuff, I just get it. So that was really valuable for me to sit in the dugout with him. I liked that he was very straight and he told you what was what. So for me, that worked well. So I'll always have a special spot for Mick. Should I talk about the award thing now?
Yeah, I think it's nice to, and I'm sure Mick will listen to this, but I hope he does, because he does cop a lot. So, and probably a lot of it is he should, because, you know, he was brought up in a time where there were ways you could speak to people, or that you were probably sometimes expected to speak to people, and that maybe not the way that we do things now. And we've learned a lot of things over, obviously, the last 15, 20 years, 30 years now, since the program's been going. But it is nice to hear a perspective of the impact that he had that wasn't trying to hide from him in the team talks, and that something that, you know, and obviously I'm biased because I'm his daughter, but a lot of the lessons in life I've learnt, some of them bad ones that I wouldn't do, he taught me. And so I'm really thankful. So it's really lovely to hear someone else's perspective on that. And yeah, I'd love you to tell that story.
So my favourite off-field moment is presentation night. I don't remember the year, I'm super sorry. But it was the year the Mick Wern Award was inaugurated. Yeah. And I was so proud and happy for Mick sitting at presentation night when they were talking about it. He was such a big influence, probably the biggest, on the women's program actually existing and surviving, and an advocate for female sport when it wasn't even a thing. So I was really proud for him to get that in that moment. And then I was even more prouder and so happy, and it was really emotional. I know Mick was getting emotional. I was getting emotional, and I was like, get us off the stage. To be the first person to win an award named after probably my most favourite coach. And then the fact that the award is for the hardest working player, that meant a lot to me. And it meant, I see it as it's a good representation of Mick, because he would throw in the batting cage to you until you said stop. Like, he never said stop. He would hit ground balls, fly balls, whatever you wanted, until you said stop, not until he said stop. So in my mind, that makes him very hardworking. I was never the player who was going to hit the doubles, strike everyone out, make the hot dog plays. Anyone who's seen me in the outfield knows I've never taken a fly ball. But I knew the one thing that I could do was be the player that put in the effort. I always knew I had the effort. I knew if I put in extra effort collecting balls during batting practice, my teammates could hit more and improve themselves. So I thought by helping out through hard work was how I could help the team. Getting there early, setting up the ground. I used to love doing the lines. I don't know why. So yeah, for me to get the hardest working player at the club was really special. And then the first one for Mick Wern, and knowing who else has come on to that shield now. Yeah, it's a very proud moment.
Awesome. You've already answered 2 of our quiz questions, so you'll have to come up with other ones now. For some reason, in every podcast, I seem to like to bring up photos of me in my white glasses, unfortunately for Sinead. But this is just, I'll show you a couple more, but another group. And the cool thing that you mentioned already is how there is always, every year, this diverse group of people that come together from really different backgrounds, different workplaces, different family situations, whatever, and yet it somehow works for the most part. You know, it somehow works, and we love to play. And Mandy's in that photo as well, and you've spent a lot of time, and Mandy's, I know, still a good mate of yours. Shelley,
yes, amazing.
And I wanted to mention her because I know she's been a really impactful person in your life, not like as a friend, not just a baseball person, but talk to me about her. take your time.
Sorry.
It's okay.
One of the funniest people ever.
Agreed.
Which is quite weird because I'm crying. But the minute she heard about the dramas, this is not good podcasting.
People want real, raw answers, Cass. This is great podcasting.
She pretty much got in the car, drove all the way from the other side of the city to come and see me and her and Carly. They took me out. They took me out in a wheelchair, which in itself is not the easiest thing to do. Push someone around in a wheelchair, drive them around, not to mention the distance that they lived from me. And now that I'm saying it, I wouldn't have doubted it for a minute. I'm really glad they got to see me walk before they left. But yeah, she definitely made trainings fun.
She was amazing.
She was great fun, and like combos we had in the team, like her and Shell together, freaking hilarious. Some people might not think Shell's funny, but she actually is when she's with Shelley.
Shell's still carrying the baton, Shelley. She's still funny. I don't think she means to be some of the time, but she is.
And then I'm still traumatised by some of the things Shelley and Minnie discussed at training. Yeah. I don't need to say anymore. But
please don't. No. We'll have to edit that out.
No.
Great human. And we miss you, Shelley. I hope you get to watch this. And again, and as I said, you played in all these teams, and the other really cool thing for you, and you can tell me if this is true or not, but when I was putting this slideshow together, I thought how cool that, and I feel this too, like I've been able to play in all the divisions with all different types of players, whether they're the best player, whether they're just a great person who loves the game, who maybe doesn't have the skills that some of the others I've played with have, but you've played in sort of every division, and socially, but also had success in, a lot of the teams you've been involved in.
I don't think the success was credited to me. I think it's credited to the program that we run. I just love people and meeting new people, and I like to know their story and know more about them than just, hey, there's Chevy, she's a catcher. Sorry, Chev, you're right in the middle, so that's why I used you. So I just like it. I like the comfort of knowing people, that they know me as well, especially going through the hard times. That made the world of difference.
Yeah.
So I just loved it. I just love being around. I love training because we do it together, and I get to, train with people I'm not playing with that season. You get to get help from everyone. I'm not sure other places have that. I don't know. Even the poor kids, they would get a lot of questions from me about what are you studying, what are you going to do when you leave school, all that sort of stuff. I just love hearing people's stories, and, where else am I going to meet? I'm going to say probably I'm up to like 70 now.
Yeah.
Like people.
Yeah.
And include the men's program. There's so many, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Oh, Gabs. Hi, Gabs.
That year was, I don't know if you remember the ending to that, but that was a pretty special ending. We were down and out and had pretty much lost, and somehow won in the last inning with our bottom order. But that was a special one. That was the year after the Berwick Springvale team, and we're going to come back to that because I want you to talk about that experience. But I also wanted to include this because this is you coaching this past season, and I know you were really proud of this, just like the rest of us, but for the first time ever having a fourth team, didn't come without its challenges, of course, but it was pretty brilliant to see the club, and you've been there obviously for 20 years, to see the club develop into a program that now has 4 teams. And a club that doesn't just have 4 teams, got a whole heap of volunteers who coach, who turn up to training, who score, who run the canteen, who mark the lines, who clean up afterwards, who just want to help everybody. And, you know, we'll talk about your challenges a little bit later and how that's prevented you. But
I'll add to the volunteering, people who carry your chair around. That was a big thing.
Absolutely. But you're one of those, you've been one of those people too now. So you've, and a little bit like me, like coming through the ranks playing, but then taken on roles where, you know, you're helping the next group. And what was it like last year, sort of working with Minnie and getting back into a more routine position, even though it wasn't playing at that point? What was that like? So
when playing gets taken away from you, you have to look for another avenue. And there's plenty of people at Springy who've had playing taken away from them for injury, for pregnancy, whatever reason. And we're just so lucky, especially as females, that Springvale accept that females can be a coach. So a lot of people probably wouldn't know there was a time when people wouldn't let females coach. So I think that's really an important thing. This was my way of staying in touch with the community, or, well, the Springy community. If I didn't have that, if I didn't leave my house for a long time, the only place I would go was Springvale, because it was my safe space. Even some away games I wouldn't go to. But it's the girls that got me through. I definitely missed the connection, so it was good to be back. At training, I got to train with everyone. I watched a lot, which was hard to watch people train. But every player comes up to me and says, "Thank you so much." But I don't think they fully understand what they gave me. I love working with the kids. And the people who are new, like, they just think you're a fountain of knowledge when potentially you're not. But anyway. And
you're underselling yourself.
I just really enjoyed being around. I couldn't use my physical body to do anything baseball, so it was good for me to use my brain. I've never spent so long watching baseball. And I guess it sort of trained my eyes to pick stuff up as well. So while I hate not playing, there has been positives. I've enjoyed being at training for all teams, so I could help all teams. I thank everyone who would come and chit-chat to me. I kind of at one point felt like the psychologist for the Springy team. But while I was going through times of doubting my body and my ability, it was good to hear other people's doubts and fears. And I thank them for letting me in on that. So coaching, I've actually really loved it. And this season I got to coach with Shay at the Australia Day tournament. It's been a fair few years since I've even played at that level. So exciting. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I love the fours. I love that we have the 4 teams. I think that was the original question, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great discussion.
Super proud moment that there's 4 teams. But I really enjoyed coaching at that level again, not only to be in the dugout with Shay, but that calibre of players that were there.
Yeah.
And back on the field, it was base coaching, but needing my brain to move at that speed. Yeah, I love that.
Awesome.
Should we go back to the 4 teams or just keep going?
No, I thought that was great discussion. Which leads me into another fun discussion, and this has been a hot topic in the first 14 episodes. It's come up regularly for obvious reasons. You were part of the Springy Berwick, we'll call it the experiment, whatever it was. You were part of it. And I think, and I want you to give your perspective on this too, but you're a big part of this time, right? And we're really excited. And I remember at the time talking to you about this, and you're like, I really want to be part of that. Like, I feel like I can contribute. And initially, I think you were going to really play in the twos. You were going to play in the second team for Berwick. And we don't often talk about that. So we had two teams at the Springvale Berwick program, had two teams. And we did have a couple of different players playing in the twos and sort of coming in and out of the twos and playing in the ones. But you ended up grand final day playing in the ones. And I don't know if people know this story, but I want to tell it. And then I'm going to hand it over to you in a second. But I want to tell the story because Barky, who we just love, was probably playing third base in the grand final. Well, she was. Because the team list was written. And then there was a big thunderstorm at Malvern and it was a washout. Now, I was co-coaching with Huffy and we were on the sidelines going, oh, what happens? Like, what's the rule? Like, because Springvale had finished higher than us. So I just thought they would win. They're like, no, we'll replay it. We'll come back next week. And I was like, great. So we could still win. And Barky goes, play next week. I'm going to Perth. Already booked it. Can't get out of it. Sorry, good luck. And my initial thought was, she's clearly joking. Like, she used to try and take the piss out of it. She used to know she got on my nerves and try and do that. And I thought, she's kidding. Well, she wasn't. And she couldn't change it and she was gone. So suddenly I was like, oh, no. So I came to you and said, Cass, by the way, you're playing third base in the grand final. Take a step back. Tell us about your experience going to be part of that, and then tell us about being part of that premiership.
Firstly, I was super proud to be part of Springvale, who were having those tough discussions about the competition, about what it means for our club and what we can potentially do. No other club was doing that. I still believe no other club has those conversations. So I was super proud. I originally wasn't going to the Berwick team. I think I made the decision 2 days before the season started.
I thought I convinced you straight off the bat.
No.
Really not.
Because I was then kind of hated a little bit for leaving last minute. But your team
Probably
list,
my fault, sorry.
Your team list came out and you were short one. And that's when I called you. I go, I don't think it's fair that you're shorted player. I will go and Gabby, my lovely friend at the time.
Who I haven't mentioned yet, by the way, who needs to come up at some point.
Yeah, because we both came together.
I remember.
We were a package deal. Wouldn't have been the same without her, I'm going to be honest. So we went to Berwick and I absolutely loved that season. I love that we were underdogs. I love that we had so much fun. The caliber of players that I played with was amazing. Like you, Shay, this was the first season I played with Huffy instead of having her drill line drives past my head at third base. Rissa, it's no secret how much I, love Rissa as a player on and off the field. Who else? God, I'm forgetting. I
don't think I've got a team photo.
I think my bench buddy was Jill, which was very fun.
Yeah.
I love the season. I even love the way that the ending happened. It was such an anticlimax with the thunderstorm. But then we got to play a grand final at home at Springvale. Springvale versus Springvale. When you look back, how special was that? Yeah, I don't think cool. In the moment I was thinking this is super special, but now I'm like, yeah, it was super special.
All I thought was I want to win, actually. That's what my feeling was.
Well, I was actually thinking I was sitting on the bench for the game, but anyway. And I remember you put me in a very weird position on the field. I was practically next to Rissa as the pitcher. And Rissa was refusing to throw the ball because I was too close and she kept looking at you. I think she thought I was crazy, but I was just doing what you told me to do. And then we won, and it was great. For me, it was really special because I am not a Division 1 Premiership winner.
Well, you are.
Well, I mean, at the time, I didn't.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And then that night, we had presentation night. It was the best.
That was a big night.
It was a great day, great couple of weeks. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Did the experiment fully work the way we wanted? No. But, we gave it a try, and I'm super proud of the club for doing that. And as a result, I had one of the best seasons of my life and developed friendships. Like, it was the first time I played with Barky. Amazing friend, miss her so much. Like I said, the first time I played with Huffy. Probably one of the last times I played next to Shay. You maybe not because you played in other teams at Springy.
Yeah.
But yeah, and now to have a lot of that group, even Rissa, support me through my journey. Rissa was the final piece of me learning how to throw again. She was the final piece in the puzzle. I'd spoken to a lot of people. So imagine if I didn't meet these people.
Imagine 2 days before. So that's really cool because I thought I'd convinced you.
Sorry.
Immediately, but clearly my persuasive skills are not as good as I thought. And it took, but that, decisions we make, and isn't it interesting how that all works? Very, very cool. I don't know. That's actually not our slide, Cass. I don't know what that was. But the next thing I wanted to talk about was on and off the field, because there's a lot of, a lot of talk about the teams and winning and experiences and getting to play with different players. But you love the moments off the field, and getting to create those relationships with the people, right? You've already talked a lot about how you love people. And I know in this photo in particular, you are sitting next to someone you would call a dear friend of yours and a really dear friend of mine. I love Yuki as well, but I am talking about Abe.
Just spoke to her the other day.
So talk to me about your relationship with Abe and how cool it's been for you to get to know a lot of the imports and become mates.
Well, it's pretty unique at Springvale. All the imports, I'm pretty sure I keep in contact with them still, thanks to social media and technology. Abe is just such a genuinely loving, nice person. So I can't imagine anyone not getting along with her amazingly. Great baseballer, very humble. I don't know why we got along so well, but I'm going to be honest, she's really easygoing. I'm really easygoing. One of the biggest hugs I had in my recovery was her. So, and we're talking at the moment about if I can go to Japan and how easy it's going to be for me to get around. So it will be awesome to get over there to see her and a few other
You've
Japanese
got a lot
favorites.
of friends
Yeah,
over
I
there.
know. Kei, Ritha, so many.
Megumi,
yeah.
Yuki.
Is Yuki back over there?
Yeah.
Oh. Yuki as well then?
Yuki as well.
Yeah.
And before we keep going, one of your... Well, she was sort of you were the two musketeers for quite a long time, you and Gab.
But yeah.
You and Gab spent a lot of time together and were great support to each other. But what was it like creating that friendship with Gab over a number of years?
Well, like I said, I don't think I ever would meet someone like Gabby anywhere else. But my life is so much richer because I did. We went to every game together, I'm pretty sure. And obviously at trainings, we would train together. If we were in the same team, we'd throw together, we'd warm up together. And if that wasn't enough, we'd probably be going to dinner like one or two nights during the week. But yeah, if like Springy wasn't around and if she wasn't there, I don't think I would have met her. And yeah, so many years later. Oh.
A few of your other mates in there.
The crew,
this
probably...
is a tournament from a few years ago, and
they're all...
E.G., Val and Min, who you've spent quite a bit of time with.
Yeah.
Those guys. But you've talked about the tournament already, but you've been a big supporter of the tournament since its inception. And then I found this little nugget because what I loved about this was, I don't know what Shay's doing in this, Shaker. I like that you're repping that pink hat. But you're there... this is the twos are playing, I believe, and there's Shanna's on the end with a very, very, very tiny Mitch Langworthy. This is how old this photo is. And Huffy on the sidelines. But you love getting around the girls, getting around the club, not just the women.
Oh, my God, we're so young.
Yeah. I don't want to age you, Minnie, but you look very young in this photo. And Cash, you look the same.
That is our crew. We were the core for the twos for a long time. I can't imagine those years without those girls. And they all supported me. Like, came to the hospital. Val rang up one day. I was in hospital and she's like, how you feeling? And I go, oh, God, I'm so over this hospital food. Like, I was at Cabrini, which is a very good hospital, very good food. But I was in hospital for months, so it got a bit tiring. I said I could just use an apple. Val's like, I'll be there in 10 minutes. And she came with a heap of apples and all this other fresh food and treats and stuff. But
awesome.
That's the calibre of people we have at the Springvale Baseball Club, which is why I work hard to make sure that is there for other people. And I know a lot of other people at the club do the same. Minnie and Beck's not in the photo. I'm not sure why, because she was part of the crew.
Sorry, Dodzer, I must have cut you out. I'm kidding. You're probably on the other side of the table.
Who knows? Sorry, Beck. But Minnie and Beck and Em would come to the hospital pretty much every week, at least once, when their kids were really little.
Yeah.
And it was at a time when COVID didn't allow kids in the hospital. So they had to arrange their whole day and childcare to come to the hospital. They'd bring a treat and we'd sit around my hospital bed and just sit and chit-chat and gas bag and talk about the game that happened on the weekend. And for that moment, I felt like I wasn't at hospital anymore.
That's so cool.
E.G., I think once I spoke to her and I'm like, it's freezing in here. She came the next day with this massive, like, woolly blanket. Like, this is the friends that I have because of baseball.
It's very cool, Cass. And a shout out to you guys. And here's another one. And I think I mentioned this photo and you said, is that the day we were all freezing cold? It was. We were freezing at St Kilda. But we all went, and obviously your great mate, Gab is there and Shelley is there as well. Yeah. And that was a great day because I'm not sure the guys thought they were going to win, and they did win. And the guys included the girls, who were all pretty pivotal in that game. So that was another great memory. And then another one this is the most recent presentation night. And what I love about you too is you love the people, but it's not just the people you play with. It's everybody at the club. And you pretty much know everyone because you just start talking to them, and that's awesome. But I know you have become mates with a lot of the parents.
Yeah.
Obviously the scorers and the supporters and the families. Like we're talking about Linda and obviously Brian Lillywhite just before. And the importance of those people as well. Like just so many good people.
And I'd even add the kids in. So we are talking a bit about my hardship and medical journey over the last 3 to 6 years. Jeanette was amazing. I was in hospital and I wanted to be part of the Barky Day, and Jeanette made sure that I was. And she's so easy to talk to about any of your dramas. Like, I think most parents are. Like, all the parents, it's probably selfish on my behalf when you talk about it, because they're so full of wisdom and supportive and understanding. You're actually doing yourself a disservice if you're not friends with them.
Yeah.
Like even Lily's, so new players, Lily's mum, Jo,
Yeah.
drove me from a dugout to a toilet because it was really far and I couldn't walk the distance. I mean, that is what we have, and that is how special those moments were. And then Mac is in that photo, like first season. I just think it's so important to have a place where people are welcome.
A great addition, by the way, Macca.
Yeah.
I'll just say, like, what a cool person to turn up and just fit in almost immediately.
We're still going to dinner soon, don't worry.
One day.
Oh, it's soon. I haven't got back to
Soon. We haven't sort of maybe touched on, most people watching this will know, a little bit of, at least a little bit of background of your story and, a little bit about the struggles that you faced and the challenges you faced over the past few years, Cass. I haven't called you Casserole once, have you noticed? But I had to say it. And I'm not putting any words in your mouth, and I don't want to create the narrative here. I want to let you talk about what you want to talk about. But what it means, and I'm bringing up this photo on purpose because it was only a couple of months ago that, what a cool photo, by the way. What a good-looking bunch of people.
For some reason, I feel like I can wave to them. I don't know what that means for me and my mental health.
I brought this photo up because when we were talking about you getting back onto the field, so for those who don't know, you returned to the field for the first time, and I'll let you explain how long and what's happened over this period of time. And you said to me, the most important thing for me, or the coolest part of this, is sharing it with my mates. Like it wouldn't have meant what it meant if it wasn't with, and I'm going to get upset here too, but it just shows the character of you as a human. And it's simply been amazing to see you just keep pushing forward. And, it wasn't always easy, and there were times that I don't think you thought you'd get through it, let alone play baseball again. And so the baseball almost became a side note for a little period of time. But ultimately there was this thing, I think, always of if you could get through it, you could get back. And we were all so proud and so happy and so just joyful for you that day. But talk to us a little bit about your journey and what this day meant to you.
So it was probably 6 seasons since I last played a full season. The first 3 I never made it through, and I always had to leave a season because of surgery. All those surgeries were trying to prevent something not so pleasant happening. Unfortunately, like about 3 years ago, it got to the point where the unpleasantness happened. I'm not saying it on purpose, what happened. I think most people know. So when that 3-year mark hit, I was in hospital for 8 months out of a year and a half. The hospital became my home for a long time. When I wasn't physically in hospital, I was at home in hospital. For 10 months, I would go get my wound checked and dressed every 2 days. So I basically, how I described it, I lived in this sick bubble for, I'm going to say 2.5 years. It was physically challenging, emotionally was crazy. I learnt just how the brain can play tricks on you and also how much power your brain has. So I'm glad I realised that. Yeah, like I said, a lot of people got me through hospital. I was in one of the best hospitals in Victoria. Still horrible. There were times when I wouldn't leave the house because of fear about, do I fit in? Does the world fit me anymore? If Springvale wasn't there, I don't know when I would have left the house because, Minnie, Beck, Chev, Tess, like so many people drove me around. Some very forceful friends made no choice but for me to get out of the house. There was times I wouldn't get out of bed except if they came to visit, and they knew that. I would never take that for granted, someone coming to spend time with you. I don't think there's a big enough thank you in the world. Sorry.
Don't be sorry. Take your time.
But Springvale training and Springvale games become my second safe space. So I got out of the house. I don't think people knew I didn't get out of the house for any other time. Obviously, the ground and the club rooms are very familiar to me. They're not familiar for someone in a wheelchair or someone with walking difficulty. But I knew if I was there when the Springy girls were there, it was my safe space. I learnt to walk at the Springvale field with my friends around me. So I wouldn't have got out of that dark space without Springvale. Not just the current players, the past players as well. I drew inspiration from, when you actually think about it, and I did, the amount of injuries and complications that a lot of our players have had and had to fight through to get back. When I was lying in a hospital bed going, can I do this? I drew a lot of inspiration from so many of our players who have gone through stuff. I put Gossie on that list. I didn't know how to deal with darkness or difficulty, and that, makes me blessed for all this. But I knew some friends who had gone through difficulty through baseball, and I reached out to them and they actually helped me get through. So, yeah, if I didn't have the Springvale community and not just the players, every parent was amazing to me. Like, not just mums but dads. All the kids were amazing. They even took on this protective role. Shirl's G would follow me around and keep going, are you okay? Are you okay? Like, just protecting me. I always felt safe at the field. People would meet me when I got there in the car park to make sure I was okay. The first time I came, the first few times, Gabby and Hannah came to the car and they're like, we've mapped out the route for the wheelchair. We've picked a spot for you to sit and, things like that. When it was training day, Shay would stop whatever she was doing when I would walk on the field. I would go to the back of the, down the cage line, out the back where it was safe. But Shay would always, I'm going to say, escort me there just to make sure I was okay. Quite a few people kind of tried to stealthily pretend they weren't around with their glove to protect me. Hannah and Gabs, you're not very good at being stealth, but I appreciate it.
Hannah will be disappointed. She thinks she's very stealth.
It's not that easy to do it, I don't think. But if anyone I haven't mentioned did do it, let me know because you were stealth. Speaking of stealth, Shanna's is very stealth I would always sit on a chair. the minute I got up, I didn't even have time to turn around. She was there. She had the chair. She was willing to take it wherever it needed to go. A lot of people helped with the chair and the carrying of stuff. Let me hold their hand as I walked to the top diamond. Australia Day tournament, not the last one, the one before, when I was in the wheelchair. The amount of people who wheeled me from the bottom ground to the top ground, amazing. I felt like I had a circle of springy protection. I was never alone.
It's amazing, Cass, and like as you sort of gather your thoughts here, the Masters tournament, you've been a part of our little Masters team since we started the team a couple of years ago. So this is our third year this year. Mm-hmm. And this year obviously was extra special because you, through all of these challenges and all of this darkness, you've found a way to get through it personally and mentally, but to get yourself back on the field. And I know a big thank you to Rick, we have to say, for organising the plaque that you can see in that photo that shows you as a participant, not someone who was there. You participated in the event, and we just had the best day.
Yep.
You had the best day, but I think we had the best day. It was a pretty amazing moment and a pretty amazing time. Talk us through what it was like to play again.
So the first Masters was a very important thing for me too. It was the first time I wasn't in my home or in hospital. And the team wouldn't not let me go. I think I made 1 million excuses not to go.
2 million.
Probably. I was very scared and nervous. But I also was confident because I knew I had you all. The team is very special to me because it's all my mates. And we've been mates for so long. It's a special team. I think the whole team feels that. And it could have been quite easy for people to go, write me off, quite easy. But the team didn't. All throughout summer, I've been practicing to try and hit a ball. I did practice running, but when I actually hit the ball and I told my legs to run, they didn't. I think the whole team felt how nervous and anxious I was. I don't know whether there's ever been such a strategic discussion about games and which one someone will play in ever at Springy.
There has, don't worry.
Okay. But I appreciated it. Everyone was ordered not to talk to me because I would cry a lot. But once the moment came, all that anxiety went away. It was a really weird peacefulness that came over me, a feeling I've never had, and I don't know how to get it back. But it was so amazing, and I wish I knew how to get it back. It was the perfect game. Springy players playing springy players. The amount of love and support I felt was amazing. What was I going to say? I faced Grace.
Yeah.
Everyone knows I love an inside pitch. Knew I was never getting one.
She was nervous.
I know.
She didn't want to hit you.
I think anyone maybe would have been nervous, so I knew that wasn't going to happen. I practiced hitting a ball. I didn't practice missing a ball. That was so that proved a challenge. Then Bron, love her to death, said come out and have a throw as we warm up. And she was playing first base. And she said, all right, now you play. So it was probably the best way to do it because I didn't have time to think about it. There was you, Chevy, and Kat in the infield.
Yeah.
And you turned to me and said, we got ya. And then
And then you didn't need us because you just made the out yourself. I was there.
I know. I couldn't get the words. Like Di hit it straight to
it was
me.
so good.
And the fact that it's Di, like my new baseball buddy,
Yeah.
was amazing. Tacky this season has been such a great support to me. So I was so glad to be doing it while she was pitching. It was just, I kind of compare it to a Disney movie.
You couldn't script that.
You couldn't script it.
No.
Yeah, so it was a great day. It not only proved to me that I could play baseball, but it went a long way to giving me confidence to talk about what I've been through. Not just here at the podcast, but also I did my first Facebook post ever. Like ever. And that was to talk about my experience and the importance of waking up and doing life, and participating in life. So I thank Springvale and my teammates for not letting me forget that there's something to participate in. So many people helped me as well physically get back to playing. Like I had to learn how to do everything again.
I was going to ask you a little bit about Bron. And so Bron, I think in some capacity professionally and then personally ended up, you two have become really good friends.
Yeah.
And then there's a professional role she played, but not a lot of people, it's interesting, and we're talking a little bit about perspective here, so this is a good discussion. People see Bron and make plays at shortstop and hit balls to the fence, and Bron's this superstar. But at the core of who Bron is this caring person who often, to her detriment at times, puts other people in front of herself. She was so committed from day dot to help you with whatever you needed. How was her support and the support from someone who ended up becoming and is now such a big part of your life?
So being new, so all the stuff has ended up in me being disabled, and I'm covered by NDIS, and it is very confusing and very difficult to deal with. Bron was at the Australia Day tournament, saw me in the wheelchair. She didn't know what had happened and all that sort of stuff. I don't think she even cared what happened. She was like, "Hey, Cass, I can help you." That was the first thing she said.
I didn't know this story. This is really cool.
She saw that Springvale wasn't wheelchair friendly. She looked at pathways and which was the best path for the wheelchair. She was always checking in on me to make sure I was okay at the tournament. So she's an occupational therapist. And I was telling her the wait for the queue was about 6 months. And she said,
Take your time. Take your time.
"Oh, it's getting bad now."
You're doing an amazing job.
She said, "There's no wait with me, mate." And she and Shiori came to my house that Monday and started doing all the work. And, you know, I think she's picked one of the best jobs for her. Seeing her do her job, it just fits. She's so good at it. With the kids and everything. She's amazing. I know she doesn't think that, but she is. I've loved her being at Springvale. Yeah, so we're now really good mates. And even her parents have helped support me as well. I'm very excited to see how she coaches. I know she'll be amazing. She might be quite tough. So I actually think she will be quite tough. She has a high standard. So those in Division 1 and 2, get ready.
Get ready.
I think I have a get out of difficult training card for the rest of my life, so I'm okay.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Hey, really, really great insight. Amazing. Was it, just before we move on, was it more joy? You talked about being able to maybe bottle that feeling, and that feeling when you played being one that you wish you knew, and I think we've all had moments like that. We wish we could feel that again. Was it more relief for you, or was it, how sometimes you're thinking, I can do this thing, and then you do it? Was it relief? Was it happiness? Or was it all of it together? What was it?
I think it was a peace. And maybe not, there was definitely joy. Like, if you look at that photo, that lovely Joe, and I'm so glad it was Joe who took the picture.
Yes. Hey, Joe.
So glad to be her coach. I'm just exuberating joy, and that's what it was. But then there was this peacefulness. Maybe it's because my brain stopped thinking about the anxiety is why I talk about the peacefulness. And I just knew everything's going to be okay. Mm. I've never felt that before. That's what I mean. I wish I knew how to do it.
Yeah.
I can't even describe it. But yeah, all that worry all went away. I think if I wasn't with that team, it probably wouldn't have happened. They're my comfort crew. Let's say that.
Love that. The comfort crew.
Well, you need a comfortable space, right?
Absolutely amazing. I found some photos in the archives, random photos, and I want
loved this.
to quiz you about
I still
some
have
of
this
these.
T-shirt.
So do I. I accidentally picked it up like a couple of years ago, and we still wore those shirts. I accidentally wore it.
I wear it all the time.
To warm up, and someone's like, what is that? And I had to explain, but that was such good fun.
That was our first time hosting Super Saturday.
Yeah, that was great fun.
I love Super Saturday. And then I've always wanted to be grounds crew. We're very lucky at Springy to have exceptional people who look after the grounds. So I don't need to do as much grounds crewing as I would dream about doing. I actually love it.
Yeah.
I'm going to start doing it again this summer.
Great.
Yeah, so I've truly missed it. Love that day.
Oh, what fun we had.
Oh, Altona.
Couple of photos. Yeah, I brought up Altona, and this is obviously your happiness on the diamond is one thing, but I love this day because, and you didn't win this day.
We didn't win a lot.
You definitely didn't win this game. But I thought this photo was cool because, not that it's no offence, Jeanette, because I think Jeanette took this photo. It's not a bad photo per se, but it's you on the mound having a meeting with your coach, who was Shay. Val, good mate of yours still, is catching, and your other good mate, Min's, at first. Like, you've so many cool memories over such a long period of time. And then coming off into the dugout, your mates are still there, but here we've got EJ Tobias, Gabby Bevan, Hanami. Like, you've played with players who are our age, and you and I are very similar in age. And then you've been playing with the kids, and I'm under no illusion you'll take the field with some of those girls and probably me again at some point. But tell me how cool that is to have been able to play with some of your great mates who you've become mates with over many years, but also be on the field with the kids who you're now seeing go from strength to strength.
Yeah. I just love the energy of the kids. I perceive them as being respectful of me. I don't know if it really is. And they just love to hear what you have to say as well. And they're just fun. They're funny. And we're very lucky to have some respectful, awesome kids come through Springvale. Gabby has been one of my biggest cheerleaders through my journey. The summer that has just gone past, she amazed me. I don't know why that's making me cry, but anyway.
Because you're proud of her, I think.
Yeah, watching her.
Yeah.
She's still young. To lead that team to a premiership in her first coaching year, leading them on and off the field. And she got to show her baseball brain, which is very good for her age. So, yeah, it made me super proud. And the fact that she takes time out to see if I'm doing okay, or I'm pretty sure she almost signed me up for the Paralympics. Well, she was going through the list of sports to play.
Of course she did.
Yeah. That's what I mean. She's always been my biggest cheerleader. She's always keen to hear what the latest thing I've done in my progress, and I didn't expect someone so young to actually care about an old person like me. EJ, amazing. She was a big support during my stuff as well. She just couldn't come to the hospital because she had a baby.
Yeah.
That other photo, probably like with Shay as my coach. You and Shay probably know me the best as my baseball ability and as a baseball player. And having that knowledge of you, of me, around is so comforting as a player. You guys know when I'm done before I know I'm done. And that is so comforting. And I don't think many coaches go to that level of detail about their players. Val was my favourite catcher, and a number of people have talked about that relationship between catcher and pitcher. She brought out the best in me. I know we didn't win, but yes.
You said you never won. Well, there wasn't many.
We didn't win many grand finals.
Yeah.
We won a lot of games.
There's a lot of winning. The percentage high winning percentage is not on the last day.
Not on the last day.
Yeah. Very cool, Cass. And I wanted to bring this one up too because this is the year after the Berwick Springvale year, and you and Gab are part of this team as well. And that was another year that, we had this sort of diverse team, and it wasn't necessarily the best players, but it worked.
Yeah.
And everyone, not only did they get along, it was fun. Like, the Springvale Berwick year was amazing. But this year, I think, gets forgotten because the other one was amazing. And, no one can love Tay to death, but no one can replace Sparky's crazy antics.
God, yeah.
Tay did try at times, and she got close. But
She had her own type of crazy.
Oh, absolutely she did. But that was another amazing year as well. And then these are some of the other snaps I thought were important to include. And you spent a lot of time, obviously, with Deb.
Definitely Deb.
And her being on the mound. And you're in at first in that one or at third.
Yeah.
Predominantly an infielder. What was it like watching her on the hill for all those years?
I thought Deb was a great teammate. Her passion was so strong. Her pitch was deceiving. As a third baseman, loved it because a lot of balls came to third base because she was a bit slower. So I loved that.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
And then one of the saddest things was when she had to retire because she had to retire because of her body. And it's always sad when people go out for reasons that they don't expect. I am so glad she's still around the club, and that includes Shani is a big part of the club. Yeah, I was just lucky to play on the team with her.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't for her, I would be the slowest pitcher at Springvale.
Well, thanks, Deb. Deb will love that.
Yeah.
30 and 5.
Yeah.
Okay. You've answered a couple of these already, so you're going to have to come up. There is a story you're going to have to tell.
I know.
In some capacity here. So,
I
Here we
might
go.
cry from laughter on that story. So.
Favourite on-field memory?
This is a weird one because it was a grand final for the twos at Malvern, Super Saturday. Springy was definitely in the Division 1 grand final that year. Me and Val were getting ready for the game, but the coaches' meeting was still happening, so the rest of the team was warming up. And I just started crying. I didn't cry a lot back then, and it was very weird. And Val's like, what's going on? And I said, I'm super sad that this is the end. I love that team so much, that crew. That would have been the season with Shelley and Shell and Minnie with the laughter and training.
Yeah.
I was just sad that Tuesday was going to come around and I wasn't going to baseball training with my mates. Obviously, Val was like, don't be stupid.
That's exactly what she would have said too.
I don't think anyone else knew what was happening then, but that is what happened. And so I think it's my favourite memory because it showed me how important the season was and that team was to me.
Mm-hmm. Cool, that's a good memory. Favourite off-field memory?
Well, it was the Mick Wern Award. But now my funniest one, and I'm very surprised no one has brought it up in the podcast, maybe because it's a bit inappropriate, but it involved...
Parental guidance.
Felix, turn it off. It involved a clay penis at trivia night where we were locked in the room. Remember, because we couldn't get home because they took the buses away.
That's right.
With
Yes.
some opponents. I actually don't know who threw it. I think the whole team doesn't know. So if you did it, please own up because it's a mystery. Somehow the clay penis ended up flying across the room. Should I say the name?
No.
Oh, okay, no.
But I do think and this person will never watch this podcast, so
Yes,
I can
I know.
say it, but I do think that Mel Whittaker, who was a ring-in,
Oh, she was a ring-in.
I think she threw it
That's why we
and
couldn't
pretended
work it
or made it look like Kat had
out.
thrown
Kat
it.
did it.
But Kat didn't do it. And to
No.
this day, Kat's like adamant. She's like, oh my God, everyone in that room thought I threw the penis, but it wasn't her. So I feel like it was Mel Witt, and she'll never see this, so she'll never say yay or nay. But
I thought it might have been Cal Manzi. That's who my suspicion was.
didn't she make... hang on.
No, I don't know who made the penis, but Cal got really upset because she was trying to make a baseball glove and someone stole her
Yes.
clay, made a penis
Yes.
and a vagina.
Mel Whittaker made the actual item as well.
And it flew across the room and
Yes.
landed
In a bowl of chips.
in front of, I'm just going to say the word opponent.
Yes.
They ended up crying. I ended up crying out of laughter. It was the friggin' funniest thing ever. And then we all had to sit in the room together until the buses came to take us away.
Yep.
That was Bendigo. And we've never returned to Bendigo ever since.
We're banned. We're not allowed in Bendigo anymore.
I don't think we've ever touched clay either. Like, we're banned from clay.
I mean, it caused a lot of issues that night because Kel had lost it because
Yes,
her
Kel was
baseball
upset.
glove was not working. And then Shay, I think, was giving her a bit of stick. So then she threw the clay at Shay or was annoyed with
Yes,
Shay.
there was a
and
clay fight.
So that, yeah, it all got out of hand. But that is a great story. I remember that one.
I remember Janine had the duck mouth because she got hit
Yeah,
in the
she got hit
face.
in the face as we arrived. Shout out, Neen. I hope you're wearing that bubble suit, by the way. Favourite teammate?
Oh, God.
And it might be a handful. The players have struggled with this one.
I'm super lucky, and it's something we've talked about a lot. I do know just about everyone on the team. I mean, at the program, on a non-baseball level. I'm very proud of that. Everyone is my favourite. Val is my favourite catcher and teammate. She just had that feisty level that I had as well. So I think we made a good combo, or maybe a terrible combo. I'm not sure.
A feisty combo?
We caused a bit of trouble, but we loved it. Like I've already mentioned, Shelley, Shell, and Minnie at training, freaking hilarious. That comfort zone is very important to me at the moment. So that's you. Shay, I think, has been in my corner since, we were kids. And not just Shay, but Brian and Linda. But that goes probably more to favourite friend rather than just teammate. So, so many I can mention. Mandy I've known forever. And this season was probably the first season where me and Mandy weren't always together on a Saturday. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, Mandy, it's weird. Like, God, there's just so many. EJ and EJ, like.
Need the two EJs. Best player you've ever played with? This is very difficult.
I could probably say the whole Berwick Springvale team. Rissa was the first person or player I saw work so hard and move a ball. Like, it was the first time. A lot of you girls had gone to the World Series and stuff and seen internationals. This was the first time. Don't get me wrong. Thank you, Springvale, for bringing one of the best. And then off the field, she was just amazing. Actually, the whole Berwick team, so even Barkey and Huffy, I was never up to that caliber. But all these players put time aside to help me improve the game. That watching Rissa on the field and off the field blew me away. I think she's amazing. I think even you've mentioned it, her baseball brain. And I actually told her, it's great you've coached so many people to a World Series. Is it World Series? What is it called?
World Cup.
World Cup.
Used to be World Series and now it's a World Cup. Yeah.
And I said, for me, the best thing you've ever done is coach me to throw again. Like, it changed my life. I was very embarrassed and upset, maybe not embarrassed, that I couldn't throw because throwing was my one thing that I love to do. And I had some of the best people trying to help me. Everyone helped in a little bit, and she was the final piece of the puzzle. Barkey, from a power point of view, my God. I was very lucky to be on that side and so close to her when she swung a bat. Like, my God. Like, I'd never seen that before until Bron came to Springy. I saw it as well, and I was like, wow. And even on the mound, and just probably one of the funniest people ever.
That's going to come up.
Miss her lots.
That's going to come up.
Oh.
Funniest person at the club.
For me, it's Shay.
She might be in the lead now, I think, if we went to voting.
It's probably not one day that I have spent with Shay that I haven't laughed. But then comes the combos. So we were so lucky at Berwick Springvale to have Shay and Barks together. They were hilarious.
Yeah. Shay and Barkey. There's the Shay and Cat.
There's
the Shay and Huffy. Like, there's all these combos, and a lot of them include her.
Yeah.
Don't they?
That's what I mean. Every day I've seen her, I've laughed. Yeah.
Maybe she's the Springvale jester. She's not going to like that.
She's
title.
not a jester. I'm shaking my head, Shay. I hope you can see it. I don't agree with that. Yeah. I'm very lucky to say she's one of my close friends.
She's good value. I think if we do a count back now, Kat, Shay and Albie
are
in the picture, and I think Barkey's got a few nominations, but I think Shay if we cut off the podcast today, which we're not, Shay would win. So, Shay, Cass hasn't called you a jester. I've maybe suggested you're the jester, but you're our jester. Favourite coach? You've kind of already given that one away.
I've given that away,
Yeah.
and it's an unfair advantage because Mick helped off the field as well.
Yeah.
He doesn't know he did it. Now he will. So get ready, Mick. I might cry next time I see you, and that's the reason why.
He'll love hearing that.
I've also mentioned you and Shay. You know me as a player. You know my body and its ability. And like I said, that comfort, like so I could get on a mound and I knew you guys had my back. You both have a way of saying stuff to me that I understand. I'm going to include another favourite coach in there, which I think everyone has, which is Billy. First training at Springvale, he pretty much told me I had the worst swing ever, and he walked out of the cage. But the first training at Springvale as well, Annie was there. She came and gave me the biggest hug and said, "I'm so glad you're here." So that made me feel better.
Okay. So Billy tore you down and then his daughter built you up again.
Yes, on the same day. So
good to hear.
Thank you. And then, but the next training, called me into the cage, gave me a drill, a horrible drill. You know, the one where the string is on the fence of your swing trajectory?
Yes. Yep.
Said you have to do 200 of these before you can start any other training. I did it. I don't have the best swing, but it's much, much better. Because remember, I used to have the whip.
Yep.
It's still a bit whippy, but yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know that story. That's very cool. The Mick Wern question. I don't know how many of these podcasts you've watched,
I
but
have.
you've seen a lot of these moments. Is there any that sort of spring to mind?
I think I caused a lot of these moments. I'm very glad no one has brought any of them up for me personally. Mine is a funny but nice moment. Pitching for, I think it was the threes. Must have been the threes because they were learning how to roll double plays. Me and Mandy was coaching, had worked on them so hard to do it, and they actually did it. But the funny part was there was no runner going to two, and they were so excited, like the middle infield, and they actually did make the play at first. So I was very, very proud of them, but because I was pitching, I had to tell them. I didn't have the heart to tell them. They were so excited. But yeah, there was no runner going to two, so it wasn't a double play. But I thought that was one of the funniest but sweetest moments ever.
Mick would have loved that moment. That's very good. Hey, it's been awesome to catch up and to talk about your springy journey so far, and a long way to go. Thank you for your honesty and your openness and your willing to chat. And it has taken a while for you to get yourself here. And I tip my cap because I can't even imagine how difficult it is to talk about some of the things you've gone through. This conversation will help others. I'm sure of that, and will help give others perspective who maybe don't know a lot about what you've been through. So I want to say on behalf of myself and the club, we love you. A big thank you for sharing with us and for letting us be part of it. And yeah, is there anything else that you want to say to anyone before we finish?
Probably to the whole club, and it is the whole club. Like I said, it's current players, it's past players. Like Fluffy was there every day. She rang me, bought me food, everything. Val, current players that came to the hospital. So many people drove me around. So many people pushed me around in a wheelchair. Just an appreciation and a thank you to everyone. And if anyone ever questions, should I do something to help the club? Should I do something to help the team? Just say yes. And if you say no, come and see me. Because you'll never say no again. Yeah. And just enjoy it. Like, I had baseball taken away from me, and it's hard for me to watch people complain about not being able to do something or being nervous or, you know, so many people, I can't hit, I can't do this, I can't throw a pitch, I can't do this. And I'm like, mate, I literally can't do it. But yeah, I think we have something so special it's worth fighting for. Even if it's 10 minutes to clean the bathrooms, it's worth it because we are so lucky and don't take it for granted. And if by chance you're pitching to me, I like it on the inside. I'm dying for an inside pitch.
Mic drop. That's a great ending. Casserole, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you out on the field again for more games. It's one game's just the beginning. Good luck with everything.
Thank you for your patience and support.
And we'll see you on the field again soon.
Yep. Summer, what is it? 4 months away.
Not far.
Yeah.
Okay, mate.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right.